I'm really looking forward to this session. Importantly, I'm just supposed to sit here, watch them discuss, and that's what I'm going to let them do. But before I do that, I only introduce them by one name. They have more than that.
So my name is Marianne Gishanga. I am the CEO and co-founder of Agritech Analytics, a company in Kenya where we use satellite imagery data analytics and IoT sensors to detect crop pests and diseases and reverse soil degradation to increase crop yields for smallholder farmers. And we are looking to ending hunger in Africa.
Fantastic, thank you. Please, a round of applause to her. And he says it goes by the name of Eric. Please, Eric.
So I'm Eric Fierwald. I'm the CEO of Syngenta. Syngenta is the largest inputs company in the world. We're selling seeds, crop protection products, crop nutrition or fertilizer products, as well as services. We have a service business called MAP, M-A-P for Modern Agriculture Platform, where we provide solutions for farmers. So we bring them agronomic advice as well as products.
Thank you, Eric, and a round of applause to our BBC. And the last but not least, Lucy, welcome.
My name is Lucy. Agrodemy. At Agrodemy, we use EdTech and e-commerce platform to solve the problem of post-harvest loss through processing and packaging in Africa.
So I think I'm going to give you 2 minutes to kind of like, tell us the challenges that you're facing. You're into training, but you're into production. Please go ahead. And then after that, I will let you chat with Eric. Yes, please, Marianne.
Thank you very much. So there are many challenges that come with running an agri-tech company, and one of them would be our biggest competitor, who is traditional farming methods. So we realize that our target market is smallholder farmers who are mostly semi-literate or illiterate. So explaining to them how technology can help solve some of the problems that they are facing, yet they are practicing things that they saw their great-grandparents, grandparents, and fathers doing, it becomes very hard for them to break the cycle. So, and that now calls for training and a lot of sensitization to these smallholder farmers to explain to them that times have changed, climate change is here with us, so we can either adapt or die. And they are already seeing some of the challenges that are coming with climate change, which is low crop yields and pests and diseases. So it now brings a challenge of us having to train them so that they can now embrace using our solution. And the second one would be we use a lot of finances to develop the technology that we have. So having to combine the soil health sensor and the crop pest sensors into one device so the farmers don't need to use multiple devices when they have our solution costed us a lot of money. And we know that AI is really changing in a very fast rate, so you have to keep on improving what you have invented, which means that R&D takes up a lot of the finances that we have. And sometimes you find that you have to go slow on some of the developments that you need to do because it requires a lot of funding, and you also still have to run the other parts of the business. So that is another great challenge that we face. And last but not least, we have language barrier. Now that these smallholder farmers are not as educated, you have to go down to their level. Sometimes you have to explain you have to look for translators to do it. But now, how we solve the challenge is we are translating the messages that we send to the farmers into local languages. We have done 4 dialects so that the smallholder farmer doesn't misinterpret what we send to them as we try to solve their problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. I come to you, Lucy. She raised 3 issues when she's trying to reach out and using technology. For your academy, yes, please, can we hear those challenges?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. Most of our challenges within our company at Agrodemi ties towards adoption and logistics. So within the academy, we had a major challenge with working with people who already have this knowledge and trying to convince them the need to digitize this knowledge to make it accessible to youth. Traditionally, a lot of those farmers had originally learned everything they know about agriculture by going down to farms in remote areas. So when you go back to them to say, hey, we want to work together to create this content, have it up online so that anyone from anywhere could access it, they usually kick back. And their reasons are we want them to go through the same pains and problems we went through. And we pretty found that very interesting, and we had to do a whole mindset re-engineering to let them know that we now live in a world where there are a lot of youth, and youth spend 90% of their time online, and the only way to get them into the sector is to provide them all of the information they need to implement online. So the mindset change around learning agriculture online is like one of our biggest challenge. The second is as regards logistics, because most of the youth who come on our platform to learn value addition, processing, and packaging struggle with logistics to move their products. We already all know that in Africa, we don't have like an alignment for movement of goods, whether processed or packaged or even in its fresh form. So having to deal with like the logistics of moving products in units for most of our users on our marketplace down to like the buyers who are usually maybe in Europe and some parts of UK, it's usually a major challenge. So logistics and mindset issues are most of the cases we're faced, and generally adoption of technology. She already mentioned something around language barrier, and I think it's something that is very peculiar to the African market. So yeah, we also face that as a challenge.
Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause. It's one thing always to speak about the challenges that you face, but I like the way both of you were elaborating them. You kept on saying there are opportunities in these challenges that we're raising, and really, I thank you for that. Now, just pretend I'm not here. You can bombard Eric with all your questions. He has all the experience and perhaps even some solutions that he will suggest to you. So right now, I'm welcoming both of you to ask questions to Eric, and I'll give you about 15 minutes to have that chat, and we will all be watching you guys. Marianne, I start with you, please.
So I'm so happy to be seated next to you, Eric. And I was telling you earlier that one of our co-founders worked for Syngenta for some while, so you're part of our company. And maybe you can solve some of the biggest problems that we have. Really, we are facing difficulties in scaling up our innovation solution due to limited resources and market access. So what advice can you give us, and how can we overcome the barriers and successfully expand our impact?
Great. Well, thank you very much for that question. I have 3 daughters, and I constantly would like to give them advice, but they won't listen to me. So maybe here I have better luck at being listened to. So first of all, I was very inspired by both of you, your purpose, and the fact that you took the initiative to found companies to help address food security, and food security in Africa, which is such a critical issue, especially given climate change, making it more challenging for farmers. You know, in recent years, the drought, high temperatures, lack of water has been more and more of a challenge to farmers. So the fact that young people are coming up with solutions and trying to get them to farmers is really, really motivating to me. I've had a long career. I've been 42 years in business, and most of that in agriculture. And I'm also on the board of a company called Eli Lilly, a pharmaceutical company, a leading pharmaceutical company. And I actually saw the new technology, the new innovation happen first in pharmaceuticals, human health. But now I see it starting to happen in plant health. And the way it happened in human health was companies would start up with new ideas like you're having, both of you, and they would prove with enough patients, farmers in your case, that the solution to a problem, and a very important problem, worked. And then they would collaborate with either financial firms that would invest in them so they could expand, or with companies that were in the industry, like Syngenta in our industry, or Bayer, or Yara, or companies that are farming companies, to take advantage of their relationships with many farmers, the trust that they've built with farmers, and thereby they can scale it faster because they can put it in as part of a broader solution. And so my advice to you would be to get partners that can help you continue to finance, because you don't want to run out of money. You've got a great idea, very important idea, but also not just get money, but get access to people that can help you get to more farmers that already have a trusted relationship. And I think your solution is very exciting, and you can get this to work, but make sure that you're tapping into that connection to farmers and funding.
Thank you so much, Eric. All right. After hearing the importance of partners, I come to you, Lucy. You can shoot your question to Eric.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Eric. It's exciting to have you here. My question is more about partnership, and it's good that you have started the response to the other question on partnership. So how can SMEs like mine partner with input companies, for example, because I'm at the stage where I need a lot of input companies partnership to scale the assets and database of farmers we have to help with our processing training. So how would you suggest that SMEs like mine build partnership with bigger companies who have the database we need? And how do you also suggest that we solve the problem of logistics, especially as it relates to looking for partnerships with like governments and other bigger logistics firms, both air and ship-wise, to grow our business?
First of all, I think it's really important to network and to meet leaders in companies that you want to partner with. So get to know them, have them understand what your offering is, what your capabilities are. But there's also venture companies in agriculture that you could also get to know and talk about what you're bringing solution-wise and get their help. So I think events like this, where you get a great chance to network, very important. I'm just so impressed with the number of really, really strong individuals from all across agriculture, government officials across Africa, NGOs, and companies, so well represented here. So coming to places like this, telling your story, getting to know people that might be able to help and give you advice is very important. Now, for Syngenta, we're always looking for collaboration partners to help us provide a better solution. We do that directly as a company, where we'll invest in startups. We'll do it as collaborations, where we'll just collaborate if there's no financial need. And we have a ventures group. And we're not atypical. Bayer, Corteva, Yara, others have venture groups that look at companies like yours and will not only invest in them, but will take a board seat, if you have a board of directors, and then can connect you to our company or to other companies. You know, our goal is to be part of the ecosystem that advances agriculture addresses food security and climate change. And so I promise you, we would be interested, and other companies would be interested in helping you advance your ideas in your business. And one other piece of advice. You're doing it here because it's organized, but when you see a company or individuals that you would like help from or advice from, just ask them. Don't be afraid. Whether it's a CEO or the president of a division, the head of research, the head of ventures, whatever, people are always willing to give others advice when they ask for it. So my request is ask for help. On the logistics question, I'd have to understand more about what the specific logistics challenges are to be able to try to give you advice on that.
So most of our logistics issue as regards units, we have people buying like stuff in low quantity. Someone is in Nigeria, is trying to buy processed cashew nuts in Nigeria and wants it to be delivered to him or her in US because he has relocated to US and wants to taste a cashew nut from Nigeria. And we also have situations where people are also very used to their local food. So most times they are constantly looking for how to get this food stuff without having to wait for a friend or a brother who is coming over to the country to bring it down to them. This is a market that we have found a lot of demand in. And our current struggle is how do we address this market? Because it now looks like we're moving towards to become the Amazon for agricultural, processed and packaged agricultural products. But the question we keep asking ourselves as a team is, how do we handle cross-border logistics?
Well, I think you're tapping into a very interesting market, which is food is such a social item. It's such a cultural item that Nigerians around the world are going to want your Nigerian food products. And aligning with a company, I don't care whether it's Amazon or other companies that do similar logistics, to tap into this global marketplace for products that you're able to source, to put together, I think is a great opportunity. Syngenta is not involved in that type of business, but I know Amazon certainly is, and there are others that are working hard to get into it. Alibaba is trying to globalize, and others, but present them with a market. Maybe you can define the market by how many Nigerians are living in different parts of the world, and if you can touch those Nigerians, what the market is, what the opportunity is for the company you're trying to work with.
No, thank you so much, Eric. In as much as this question was directed to Eric, I'm going to ask Mariam to give us also an answer. Like, do you have like case studies that you're aware of, whereby some of the questions that Lucy just pointed out that you can highlight? Karibu, Mariam.
Thank you. So for us, we had an issue with logistics, but it wouldn't be as far as where she wants to export her packaged food. But ours was having our head office in Nairobi and working with farmers that are upcountry. And it was a constant cost for us to have to take the devices to the farmer's farm or have somebody to go and do the mapping of the farm into the system. But then we quickly worked with collaboration. We collaborated with local agrovet shops and county government offices in those particular areas. So the local agrovet shops will act as stores for us. They stock the devices for us. So when we onboard a farmer online, then they can get the devices from that particular area as opposed to us traveling all the way from Nairobi to another part of the country. So, and then if they are able to get more customers for us because they are a meeting point for the farmer gets inputs from them, then we give them incentives. So that way we killed the transportation costs and we also saved on marketing costs.
Fantastic intervention, really. I'd love to hear that. And I'm sure from the floor we do have some stakeholders that do have some solutions that applicable in whatever environment. We've heard quite a number of challenges from the group. Right now, I can pick a hand from the floor if you have a case study that is a solution, but I think we can learn more from the members of panel that we have here. I like what your academy is doing, in as much as we always think at the high level, but what both Lucy and Marianne are telling us, everything begins at home, and you have to think about solutions that are within your own perimeter, and I think this is really good. I'm looking up, I'm not seeing a hand, so I'm coming back to my members of the panel, and this one I'm going to throw it to Eric, and then the rest can also comment. So a lot of times, and I think since morning, we're hearing some of the policies that we need to take into consideration when we're trying to scale up. We need to think about who do we work with. You've also cautioned us that we need to ask and ask, even if a person is a CEO. So everybody in the room, your neighbor, check if they're the CEO. Maybe you should start there. But before you do that, Eric, what are the kind of things, on a serious note, when it comes to really pushing some of the agenda through policy, and how can we go about it? Karibu, Eric.
Yeah, I just believe there's so much opportunity in Africa. There's many challenges, but there's so much opportunity. So I think it's really important that government by government, country by country, that African countries talk to farmers, talk to the big ag companies, talk to the entrepreneurs, and get clear on what policy changes are needed to unleash the potential. And certainly spending time in Tanzania and other African countries, this is my third visit to Africa this year. I haven't visited any other region as much, so it tells you the commitment that Syngenta has. Our team here is very strong, and we believe deeply in African agriculture. But to unleash that potential, the governments need to work on better infrastructure, better trade policies. The Pan-Africa Free Trade Zone is so logical, makes so much sense, will help farmers a lot, but it hasn't really been enacted yet, so getting that enacted. Education. Continuing to strengthen education is just so important. And then financing, helping support farmers in financing, because that's, when you talk to farmers all over the world, that's one of the top issues they have is access to financing, so they can get the inputs to grow a good crop. And then the last piece is regulatory. Farmers in Africa deserve access to leading technologies. And I'll just give you an example. This morning, I had a meeting with the CEO of a company called AgVenture in Kenya. They support farming in about 35,000 hectares. They want to get bigger in sunflower. Sunflower, with the Ukraine, the Russian war in Ukraine, and the situation in Russia and Ukraine, there's a shortage of sunflower. And we don't want to deforest Indonesia and Malaysia with palm oil, so there's a desire for more sunflower. But it's really, really difficult. It takes many years to get a sunflower seed approved in Kenya that's already being used in many other countries. And that's a specific example of a block to Kenyan farmers being able to make a huge positive impact on agriculture by adopting just run-of-the-mill, very good world-class seeds. So those are the key areas. That's a lot, but I gotta say, I'm very encouraged by having met President Samia in Davos and her commitment to agriculture and transparency and discussions, asking us to come here to this event. And then the meeting with your ag minister today. He's very impressive, very much gets the challenges and the opportunities, and wants to work proactively with companies, NGOs, farmer groups to advance agriculture. So I'm very encouraged.
Thank you so much, Eric. On the policy side, you touched on a lot. So not only trade, you moved ahead and talk on education, finance, and importantly, technology, and towards the end, you touched on seed certification and how that one is important when we're really thinking about expanding. Lucy, I come to you. I said I'll start with Eric when it comes to the policy issues. A lot of the interventions that you're doing at your academy, there must be some policy issues that you're like, hey, you do this, we're good, we're sailing, you will be facilitating us more. Governments, listen to me. Please, Lucy, what is that one thing? Thank you.
I think one policy the government can do to facilitate what we do is to get farmers to start getting certified. You know, we have people write certification exams to become lawyers. That way they are more organized, they are more structured, and they are better prepared for the opportunities and the challenges they face with what they do. But within the agricultural sector, we don't have systems like that. And that's the reason why people wake up one morning, pick up what they have, go to the land closest to them, farm, and then they don't have good outputs, then they blame it on the sector not being profitable. The second challenge, and that boils down to the fact that if we have policies that get farmers to be certified before they become farmers, especially in the African market, it will put a lot of structure to it, because then before you get certified, you would have to learn the business of farming. And in learning the business of farming, you also have to now learn about record keeping that would facilitate access to finance. Currently, I was speaking with someone this morning, and I said, a lot of farmers will always struggle to get funding, because the people who have funds will only give funds to people who do business, and farmers don't do business. Farmers work with their emotions, and it's because they work with their emotions, they don't know the cost of the seed, they don't know the cost of the hard labor they have, they don't know the cost of even the irrigation services, and to cost of that and then put up a markup to sell. You know, and that's why a farmer is going to spend thousands and then he's selling this product at units, you know. And all of this can be solved if we just have policies that ensure that as a farmer, you get the right education. And this education is business education. Begin to think about farming as a business. Begin to think about farming as a sustainable way to grow your own personal economy. And then begin to think about farming as a way aid technology adoption. You know, he had mentioned technology adoption, and the one problem I see with a lot of farmers is they don't see a need to jump on technology. They see technology as their biggest enemy. So when policies allow that people get certified to even become farmers, then trainings around technology, how to use simple tools, how to use social media to get to the world becomes very easy. I'm in Tanzania, and it's a whole struggle for me to get farmers in Tanzania by using a simple hashtag of farmers in Tanzania on Instagram. But if you do musicians in Tanzania, I bet you'll see a lot. Because the music industry have structured the importance of technology for their people, but we haven't done that in the agricultural sector. And a simple policy around certification will change all of this across Africa. That way, when next you all come and you want to connect to a farmer in Tanzania, you simply do hashtag farmers in Tanzania, and you can connect to as many as you want. Thank you.
That's really interesting. So here I am, a farmer with a hashtag, farmer in Tanzania. That would be interesting. I really like the policy that you just recommended about making sure you're formalizing the farmer by making sure they're being certified. I'm not sure how politically that is going to work, but it's really an interesting way. Marianne, I give you the floor. Karibu. A policy that you believe is important to be adopted.
Okay, so for me of importance is a policy around taxation. Taxation on import of equipment that will help in smart agriculture. For example, we import a lot of IoT devices or the parts from other parts of the continent, and our greatest pain point is the taxation rates. So if they could be reduced, if the governments could look at a policy that looks at what is the importance of this device that is being imported, and what is the economical value of it, what is the economical value it's coming to bring into our country, and look into reducing that, it would really work for us. Another one is around what is the quality of fertilizers or farm inputs that are allowed into the country. We've had issues with some fertilizers have been rejected in a particular country. I'm not mentioning names here. But then they are brought into Africa because our African governments have allowed it to happen. And what happens to our soils then? Our soils continue being degraded, and we do not have means of now changing that or revamping our soil back up again. So if they could look into the quality of what they import, even as they try to support agriculture, and also explain to these smallholder farmers what exactly is regenerative agriculture, what exactly is smart agriculture. Yesterday I posed a challenge to someone. We are seated here in our numbers. The internet connectivity isn't even working because we are so many. We are talking about smallholder farmers. But is the information that we are deliberating here going to get to the smallholder farmer? Or are we just going to create reports and graphs and everything and upload it on LinkedIn and say we had a successful meeting and count our profits and losses? What is the implementation rate of what it is that we are talking about here is the call to the government.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Those are really good additional points that when we're thinking about policies to help us, we have to pay particular attention into the fiscal policy. So in winding up, I'm giving you your last few words, and those will be around, the things that we should do to revolutionize the sector. Yeah? So each one of you has about 1.5 minutes. Thank you.
I would say think agribusiness. Don't think agriculture. Agriculture is not going to make us rich. It's not going to make us the giant of Africa. It's not going to make us to buy our jets and our PJs to travel around the world. What will give us what we want, what is going to make the world a better place, is thinking about agribusiness. So when you see a farmer tomorrow, encourage that farmer to think about the business of what they do and leave emotions out of it. Thank you.
That's really good. Thank you. Eric? Oh, you want? Okay. He says it goes last. Yes, please. Oh, ladies first.
Okay, thank you. So mine is on seed quality.
All right.
Seed quality will solve a lot of problems in terms of if you plant quality seeds, then you get quality food. When you get quality food, then the nutrition levels are high, which means we kick out a lot of diseases that come from substandard food or misuse of farm inputs like fertilizers and pesticides. It also means that we save the soil from all these chemicals that we are inputting, and it means also post-harvest losses will reduce because there will be no interruption of what it is that we get out. Thank you.
Eric?
I'll just close by saying that I came to give advice, but I think I learned a lot too. These two are very inspirational with their ideas. I think certifying farmers is a brilliant idea. Maybe it's not good politically to require it from all farmers, but when we think about farming as a system all the way to the consumers and work with the downstream demand, certifying farmers to supply Wilmar, for example, for their rice processing here in Tanzania is a great idea, because then they'll use regenerative techniques, they'll understand the technology, they'll understand how to farm the best. I also love the idea of tracking healthy soil and healthy plants that Marianne spoke about, and the seed quality that helps enable that as a system. Let's not think about just yield. Let's think about healthy soil, healthy plants, healthy world.
Big round of applause to our panelists. I thank you all so much. We've learned a lot from Lucy, from the Academy, the amazing work that you're doing. Eric, I think I joined you in that club whereby I learned a lot. And when I was listening to both Lucy and Marianne, I think our minister, Bashir, just got himself 2 ambassadors from Nigeria and Kenya to speak about encouraging youth to go into agribusiness. In Tanzania, we say, kilimo ni biashara, what you've just said. So really, thank you so much. And Marianne, yes, soil health, very important. And importantly, not only that, but also making sure that we think about over and over again about seed quality. At the end of the day, it's the entire value chain that you want to follow standards. So really, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to our members of the panel. And we have come to an end of the first round.